Hi everyone. I'm Saleha, and this is Chai Chat and Community. Today, we are talking about how to be safe online. But before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting tonight, and I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. I'm going to read out some stats. The Australian Signals Directorate's 2023-2024 annual report says that it received more than 36,700 calls to its Australian cybersecurity hotline. This is an increase of 12% from the previous financial year. ASD also responded to more than 1,100 cybersecurity incidents, highlighting the continued exploitation of Australian systems and ongoing threats to our critical networks. So, for meet my guests, Asha and Ash, Professor Asha Rao, Aishwarya Smriti, and there are more data, but we will talk about it as we go along. But before we start, Asha, would you like to tell us something about yourself? Please, thank you.
Yes, thanks, Saleha. Thank you for having me here. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nation on whose unceded land we are meeting today. So I'm a professor of mathematics and cybersecurity. I have been involved in various ways, the Master of Cybersecurity, which currently runs at RMIT. And I do like to go out and give talks about scams and how to, and what I say is to be aware, because awareness is what will help to keep us safe. Thank you.
Ash?
Hello, I'm Ash. I work mostly as a software engineer across many industries. In the recent years, I've been working across platform and security a lot. And I'm here because I've seen an increase in attacks throughout every platform that I've been working on. And I think this is a good time to talk about this issue and put some preventative measures in place so that we can pretty much prevent some financial crimes. Yes. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome. Very, very happy to have both of you, two awesome women. We are also on Spotify. So if you can follow us, and this will be the first episode that I will put on Spotify. Asha, what are the most common mistakes people make that compromise their online security?
It's usually, it used to be, they would click on links in emails or SMS. But the highest one is now actually from calls. They take calls that they don't know. If you are not expecting a call and you don't recognize the number, I always say don't pick up the call. If the call is important, they will send you a message.
Yep. Or they'll call you back.
They'll call you back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A few years ago, there was this influx of calls from all kinds of people offering cheap electricity, cheap plumbing service, cheap gas. And in fact, somebody I remember called up my husband and had this conversation. She said, I will get you cheap bus tickets for best buses. Those ones in Bombay. And I'm like, so that thankfully has stopped. I think it stopped mostly because we've disconnected our landline.
No, I think it stopped because the government made it illegal. Because most of these things start from legitimate businesses. So at some point there was like almost you could call it a bidding war by the different electricity retailers trying to get our business. So you'd have people knock on your door, and then the government said, no, you can't. So then what they did, and I remember my electricity account, in the bill, they would send me a little note. Now they send you a little note saying that you are on our best plan. But before that, they came to the point where they were not allowed to tell me anything. And I remember once ringing because some other company put a flyer in my mailbox. So I rang them. And they said, you know what, once a year, give us a call, because we're no longer allowed to do it. But I think that's also changed. And they can actually send you a little note saying that check the government website and you are currently on our best plan. So, yeah. So that's the thing, is they do it. So the latest scams, or I'm just heading off on this thing. The latest scams are QR codes. And again, it's legitimate businesses which have sent us into this. With COVID and the lockdowns, and we had to scan everywhere. So now there are sometimes people will put up random QR codes. And people will just click on it because there's a QR code, let's click on it, not realizing that a QR code is like a website. There is no difference. So if you don't click on links, you should not be taking pictures and going to websites and QR codes. So this is the problem. We are primed. It is called, in psychology speak, it is called priming. And we are being primed for new scams by legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
Ash, you want to say something? Yeah.
Yeah. I think in terms of compromising online security, I also have seen an increase in credential stuffing attack that we've been receiving. And what that means is your username, your email and password has been leaked a while ago somewhere. It's on the dark web. And now hackers are trying to use that username password across multiple websites to see if they can get into any other website.
That's what happened to mine.
Yes. That's what they will do.
That's what happened to mine.
So I think,
go on. Sorry, Ash. I shouldn't interrupt.
I just wanted to finish that by saying I think one of the mistakes that we make is reusing passwords. We really need to keep passwords separate for each website, especially financial things like banks and other deposit schemes and whatnot. So financial website, do not reuse password, and also just revisit the password strength, because I know a lot of us think that Jupiter 89 underscore and like some symbols will be uncrackable, but they're not. In like today's the quantum computing and like the servers have gotten so strong that those passwords can be cracked in like 4 days or something. So just want to say that there is always there should always be a process of going through all the passwords and just checking the strength and not reusing them.
I remember you gave me that link, so I will post it at the end of the podcast. Yes, you were saying something?
Yeah, the extra thing that you need to do is, especially because my PhD student and I, we put a series of posts during tax time last year on LinkedIn, and to avoid credential stuffing is also to have unique usernames instead of just using your email. So especially for the ATO, you can use your username, but you can go in. And so the last of our posts was that saying you can go in and you can use the username that was assigned to you by ATO, which people don't know other than the ATO and you.
Yeah, we don't.
So
okay.
Don't use your email. You know, if you're going, so the bank will ask you, do you want to put in, do you want to give it a username? And the temptation, so this is the easier path. We always take the easier path. And the easier path is what scammers are hoping you're doing, is using that easier path.
Yeah, because like when you lock your door, it's like locking your house. You're locking your house. You have two keys. One is username, the other is password. Username, everyone's username or email is everywhere. It's like in every breach. If you look at Have I Been Pawned website, it's in like millions of breaches. So I like that you talked about using the assigned username. I think I go a step further, and I use email aliases. And
what does that mean?
So, okay, the simplest way to do this is Gmail lets you do. Suppose your email is saleha@gmail.com. So Gmail lets you do Saleha Plus, and if you want to do StreamYard, so Saleha plus StreamYard.com, Saleha plus StreamYard@gmail.com is a valid email you can provide anywhere else. So when you get an email to whoever you've provided this email, it'll come to your normal email account.
Understood.
Using alias. So it kind of adds an extra layer of security that people don't really know what your actual email address is. Now with Gmail, because it's a plus, it's kind of easy to find out.
Yes.
But there's other email aliasing services where you can choose a completely new alias, but it will come to your inbox. And that way, every website has a different email, and anyone, if that website, like if Facebook has gone through millions of breaches, not millions, but a lot of breaches.
Millions.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So if your email here is compromised, that cannot be used to attack any other website, or cannot be used to like trace it back to your other identities, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I may have to ask you a bit more about this, Ash. So you will be invited for dinner. So
yeah, sure. You can use services like Proton Mails and stuff. I can say
there's a few.
Yeah.
There's a few.
So for our listeners, and this is for both of you, and like I said to you, there are many who are not tech savvy. I always wondered why anyone would want to use my identity to send anything. And I went through 3 weeks of hell, and then back again, and then off again. It's just been a nightmare. But what is the best way to keep yourself safe? I mean, even this email thing that and the most common social media is Facebook.
Yes.
Does Facebook allow you to do a separate email, like you said, Ash, or you have to use yeah, they do?
You can. I think everybody does. You can, and Jim, you can invent a new email. You can have a separate email account. You can do things like almost everybody has. See, the problem is it's not known, but almost every site now has multi-factor authentication. And what you can do is, I prefer not to use the SMS unless that's the only choice. Because there are a few of these things which will only allow that, which I am quite irritated about, but have to settle with that. But if possible, you can use an Authenticator app, which is the second factor authentication. So I've got it on almost everything now, social media or not. Remember, your data is important to you.
Yeah.
And it can be used to scam you.
Yeah.
So, Ash, sorry, you were going to say something?
I completely agree with Asha. Do not use SMS as your second factor authentication if you can help it. I think email is still a bit better than SMS, only because SMS is not end-to-end encrypted, and I guess we don't need to go into that.
That is actually a very good point, actually, Ash. The thing is,
I was going to say, I didn't know that.
So if you're doing Android to Android, it is end to end. It's iPhone to iPhone is end to end. And this is one of the major problems with everything, even with quantum, this is what is going to be the problem, is that all of these things don't talk to each other in the same way.
Yeah.
So, I ask, if I want to send information, which I don't want anybody else to get, I will ask, are you on this or are you on that? Have you got an Android phone? Because mine is an Android phone. Or is your an iPhone? Because mine is an iPhone. So that is the whole thing, is to, if we got these things across, where we could have end-to-end encryption, then it would be much better. And it's going to come. It's going to come. But there is so much of protection. Yeah, it's protection of turf. And they each guarding their own lawns. Sorry.
Yeah, standardization is the dream, right?
Yes, absolute.
In December, I was talking to this so-called cybersecurity expert who works with the government in the US, and he said to me that iMessage is the safest. Is that true? Okay, that says it all.
What do you think, Ash?
I haven't looked into it very much, but from what I know, iMessage to like iPhone to iPhone, I think it
Yeah.
is. Um, I would say if you're obviously if you're uh, it's not possible, right? Because you can't get everyone to use iPhone.
Yep.
Um, I think
And
in today's day and age, the most safest form of communication, and you can quote me on this, and I say it all the time, is Signal and not WhatsApp and not iMessage.
yes,
Is
that is
using
what.
the app called Signal. It's end to end encrypted. It's non-profit. They do not use your data to sell you anything or sell your data to anything. Um, and it's not end to end encrypted like WhatsApp says they are. It's
Yes,
actually end to end
Yeah.
encrypted.
end-to-end
Yeah.
encrypted. Yes, see, the thing is, iPhone, I remember when I first started teaching cybersecurity, students would put their hand up and say, "Oh, it's better if you have an Apple because an iPhone is safer." But I remember a few years ago, there was this massive breach where somebody had inserted code, and then we all had these panic messages come through saying, "Please update your iPhone immediately." Or
Yeah.
your iPad. See, this is the thing. Just because there are more Android users, so IBM PC users, Android users, than iPhone users, that is why there is more attacks on Android. If more people started using iPhone, there would be more attacks on iPhone. Nobody is safe. Nobody thinking that using a particular thing is safe is crazy. It isn't.
It is
It
one
is.
of the myths.
It is
I
one.
know one of your question later on is what are the myths. This is one of the myths that Mac can
Yes, I was
explain.
good, and I was looking at the questions. In fact, while we are chatting, we've actually covered three questions, which is great, without me having to ask you that. So
Yes.
let me
Yes.
ask the
So
most important thing, which I did not know until Ash told me, uh, is what are the how do people create strong passwords that are easy to remember? Do you know, Ash came to my house during sometime in December, or was it Jan, whatever. And she asked me, after all the issues that I've had, she asked me, "What password did you have?" And I told her what my password was. And it was so uncommon. Asha, it was no
I
one can even think
I
of it.
I
And she
know.
said, "Wow, it is so uncommon. How the hell did it happen?" But it happened. So how do people create such strong
Stronger
passwords?
passwords. One is the length has to be increased. The second one is to have multi-factor authentication. But what else? I'd love to hear what Ash has, what Ash's suggestions are.
Thank you. I think I go for passphrases instead of one word passwords. And I forgot the name. I think Troy Hunt is the founder of Have I Been Pawned, and he was giving
Yes.
a whole talk in Yao conference on how to make secure passwords. And the condensed down version is you open your newspaper, you look at the headline, and you just make a passphrase, make a sentence, divide it with dashes, and that can be your password because it's easy to
Wow,
remember
how
and
cool.
yeah. Um, it's somewhat easy to remember, but it is hard to crack. Um, but at the end, I think I am a strong believer in password managers. I don't know, like what Asha would think of it. I know that they're not the most secure way to
Mhm.
store passwords, but they are the most secure way to generate unique passwords.
Yes,
Uh, and
that is
for
indeed
the
correct.
most parts, they are very secure. They are more secure than having it in your notepad. They're more secure than trying to remember a not so good password. Um, the only like the biggest breach that we saw with password manager was LastPass, but that also like we were able to mitigate really quickly because the vault itself was encrypted. So I think I'm gonna go with password manager and use that to generate unique passwords.
Now that is actually a very good idea. Unless you are the thing is, if you're not using password manager, then you need to be very, very disciplined. And if you are not disciplined enough to have different passwords, then the password manager is the one which we'll use.
Yeah.
I've been teaching, as I said, I've been teaching cybersecurity for 25 years now, and risk management for 20 years. So I go way beyond. I go way beyond, because first was, as I used to tell my students, I don't teach them in the first semester. I used to tell them, by the end of this semester, I'm going to make you very paranoid. But yes, but with the risk management, one of the things I've learned, it's all about managing risk. So I often have strong passwords, which then the next time around I can't get into the website because my password. But these are because I'm not used to it as often. Everything once. So one of the reasons I don't like doing online shopping is because often they ask you to create an account.
Yep. I don't do online shopping either. Yep.
As an academic as well, every time I submit a paper, the journal, every time I submit a paper, every time I have to review a paper, every time I have to do anything at all, it asks me to create it. And I remember the last time round I had to do this, I could not get back in. So every time they had to come in, somebody had to come in and reset. I wouldn't even reset. It was that difficult. I don't mind that difficulty. So this is the thing. If you are prepared to go through that process, and then of course now every time I can, I have Google Authenticator. Otherwise, I put in such a long password and it's so complicated that I can't remember. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, which is what happens to me most of the time.
Then you reset. You reset, and I may never go back into that this day. This is mostly this is what I don't like, is the number of places where you cannot actually do what you need to do without creating a password.
Yeah. Without creating an account. Yeah. Because everything wants your data. On the shopping front, can I talk about that for a little bit?
Yes,
I know you have the restraint. You guys have the
before Ash, I want to ask you something. So for audiences who don't understand, all the tech stuff that you just taught, what would be the easiest way to explain to them to create password? A mixture of uppercase, lowercase, numbers.
Phrases, as Ash said, phrases, and then put uppercase, lowercase.
Okay.
Phrases.
So my name is Asha. Uppercase, lowercase, with a mix of numbers. And punctuations.
Try not to use very common phrases as well.
Yeah,
you still need to have some randomness in there.
And don't use ampersand. That and because when you're putting it online, that comes up. I found this quite a few years ago. The ampersand, when you put it on this thing, HTML code reads it as a space. So if you have an ampersand in your password, it will read it as a space. And then, but I don't know if that is still the case, because if some of the things, again, tech speak, technically your password should not go. And I remember saying this on live television. It's like, this was before I went live on television, is like, there is what we call, it should not be sent in the clear. It means it should be encrypted before it is sent. So when you type in your password into a website, it should encrypt it right there, which is why, have you seen sometimes you click on log on for whatever, and then you don't do it because you got distracted. So you come back about 2 or 3 minutes later, and then you put it in and it rejects. It's not rejecting because your password is incorrect. It's rejecting because the encryption time has run out. It's like your bank, logging you out. It has logged you out. So before you have to click on that link, you have to start the login process again. So that is indicating that your password hopefully is not being sent in the clear, is not being sent as a password, but as what is called a hash function or an encryption.
Yeah, it usually is. So you hash it on the front end and then you send it to the server. Otherwise, attack.
Till about 4 or 5 years ago, which is the last time I was looking at stuff, that was not the case. And I raised it. Because I have raised, and I remember saying, okay, why is this, and why do you know my password? Why isn't you not just resetting? And we'll take that on advisement. It was like, what the? So then what I did is, for that particular site, I just had a weak password. Because it was like, you are not going to save it. I am not going to expose the way in which I create passwords by having a strong password on your website. Because you're not going to hash it, you're not encrypting it, you're not hashing it. Only the hash should be saved, and it should not be the password which is saved. So even if they get it, often what they will do is run what is called a reverse. I think they're going into tech speak again, so I'll stop.
Yeah, but I want to say that in Hindi as well. कि अगर आप सुबह का अखबार खोल के एक सेंटेंस देख लो, उस सेंटेंस को आप पासवर्ड बना सकते हैं, बस डिवाइड कर दो हैश में. जैसे if you want to do जब जागो तो तब सवेरा as a passphrase, as a password, perfect. आप लिखो जब dash जागो dash तब dash सवेरा, और उसमें उसको क्रैक करने में centuries लग जाएंगे. Like that is not a crackable password.
Yeah, but I would suggest उसमें तो 1 2 3 या कुछ numbers लगा लो, और जो symbols है वो भी लगा लो.
Yeah.
So while you're talking about, the Hindi password, when you log into any account, can you put your passwords in different language, or does it have to be in English?
It can be in different language. Do you mean the script that you're using?
Yeah.
That depends. That would depend on what is being set on the other side.
It depends on.
So when you log into any social media, they will ask you language preference. So you can click Spanish, you can click Hindi, you can click Bengali. So my default say I want to do Bengali because that's my language.
Yes.
Then when I log in, I see a lot of people nowadays write their names in their mother tongue.
Yes.
Like we write in English, so they write it in their mother tongue because the keyboards now allow you to do it, especially on phones. So are we then doing the password, say, in Bengali? Will it accept it? Or
I would doubt it. I would think it is possibly transliterated. Remember, there's translation and there is transliteration. Yeah. So you know how we sometimes write, because I write with my cousins and my brother. I will write the sentence in the English alphabet, but it is the Indian language. So remember, it's not very hard for it to do the reverse.
Okay.
Because when you are
we call it, we do the same in Bengali, and we call it Roman Bengali. So we have a full conversation in Bengali, but all the alphabets are in English.
Ultimately, even if the keyboard is different, keyboard जो भी हो, अंत में तो QWERTY ही है, तो उसके पीछे जो QWERTY बैठा है, वही तो यूज होगे. नया तो कीबोर्ड नहीं है. The strength of the language is not coming through. The 13 vowels in most of the Indian languages, 13 to 15 vowels. I think Marathi has got 15 vowels. That's not coming through. It's still A, E, I, O, U.
Yep.
But that's a very good question. I would research this a bit more and get back to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm thinking of all my chachas. So, that's how you think, because if people of the the older generation, our uncles and aunts who are not really tech savvy, but I have to say social media and especially Facebook has been fantastic in connecting families.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can make your little family groups, you can make your little friends group. Yes, now there is WhatsApp, but before WhatsApp happened, Facebook is the only one that allowed us to do that. So, how do you explain to them? Because like I said, that so many people I know clicked on the link which I did not send, and for them anything can happen.
So that is one thing we should warn people for. अगर आप किसी को जानते हो और वो आपको लिंक भेज रहा है, it's not necessary कि that is a trusted link, and you should never click on that. आप पूछो उनसे, जो भी मैसेज करे उनसे पूछो. उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे मत पूछो, किसी और प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाके पूछो. But you need to make sure that link is safe before you click on it. And that goes for Facebook, that goes for WhatsApp, that definitely goes for SMS, and that definitely goes for emails as well. Do not click on any link. If you think that it is an important link, because usually they use these threatening and urgent languages that you need. They create this urgency for you to do something.
That is, yes.
Yep.
you don't take that action. That is the one thing that we have to do. We have to resist to take that action, and then go to the original website. If you don't know the exact name of the original website, you Google it. Google will
Yes.
bring up the most used, the most authentic website at the top. You click on that, and then if you have to call them back, get the phone number from there, call them back. Or if you have to email them, get the email from there, email them back. Or if you have to so that is
use the search engine as much as you can. I remember years ago waking up one morning, and then there was a message, there was an SMS saying, can you call this number? What was it? There was a fraud on your bank account, so call the number. I didn't call the number immediately. I first went in, I logged into this thing. Okay, yes, there were transactions. Okay, then I Googled the number. It said, it didn't say click on this link. It just said call this number. And I Googled the number and came out, yes, the number is the bank. So then I rang that number, and the minute I rang, my account was closed. Was closed. Because there had been fraudulent. She asked me, did you do these transactions? And I said, no, it had happened at 3 a.m. And it was accommodation booked in New Caledonia. And I don't even know where New Caledonia is. I did go and find out later. And she said, so where did you make these transactions? I said, no, as usual at 3 a.m. I was asleep. And if this was New Caledonia, why am I in Melbourne and not in New Caledonia if I'm booking?
And that brings me to my next question, because this happened to me. Your bank, I suddenly saw transactions in Paris when I'm sitting here for clothes that I haven't bought. One was in Paris and one was in New York. I couldn't have been in two places at the same time, So the three top reported cybercrime for individuals are identity fraud, which happened to me, online shopping fraud, which is 15%. Identity fraud, I thought I was the only sucker, but no, that's 26%.
That is huge.
And online banking fraud. So young people, not like me and you, Asha, but young people only do online shopping.
Yes.
So what are the things they should be mindful of? I would never do online shopping. I just can't do it. For me, I always say I need to touch and feel, but I know my daughter only does online shopping because that's convenient. What about you, Ash? Also online shopping?
I do a lot of online shopping because I'm an introvert, and I cannot go in person and do shopping. That doesn't work for me very much. So I have some opinions on this. So there's two aspects of this: your account creation and then your financial information. That are the dangerous parts of doing online shopping. For account creation, as I was mentioning earlier, aliases. We need to build strong, unique password and also use email alias. And the easiest way is the Gmail way that I talked about earlier. So we use what essentially is not your email, and no one knows that it is your actual email. And you use a unique password to create the account. For your financial information, you always use a virtual card. So virtual card, the card number CVV, like the CVV changes, right? So no one can charge you back on that card. No one can do fraud on that card because that card, I think, expires in 24 hours or something like that. So always use a virtual card. If you use banking app on your phone, you have a virtual card, that will come up. And if you check the CVV today and CVV tomorrow, you'll see that they are different. So that way they can't commit scams back. If you want, you can use PayPal-like services so that your actual bank account is not.
That is what I tend to do. I tend to use PayPal rather than give my bank account, my account number and everything, or credit card number to all and sundry. I prefer to use PayPal. So that's one point of failure, which means, if that fails, then I cancel that. That cancels everything. Yeah. So other than, wondering who else has it.
Yep. Go on. So like you, Asha, I use PayPal, but I still don't do online. I do it for Uber and stuff like that. Even from PayPal, I got a fake email. I just know
absolutely.
not to click, but
Yeah.
and this is it. There are so many. I talked to you
Oh,
before
absolutely.
about the bank that you get email. So, you and I and Ash, and I'm sure hundreds of people know how to check a fake email that is coming from so-called trusted organizations, which we think are trusted, but it's not the
Yeah.
banks or the ATO or
Yeah.
sending them. How do you ensure that the email is correct and you don't click on that link?
You just don't click on any links at
Yeah.
all, is what I would
You
say.
you be paranoid. Be
Yes.
paranoid.
Be
Never click
paranoid.
on
Be
links.
paranoid.
Yeah.
My advice is, you know how they say if you're angry, count to 10 before you react.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you should do. Count to 10 before you click on anything. Don't click. Just on principle, don't click.
Yeah.
Just don't click. And the banks and everything are getting smarter in the sense that now do not send you links. They just do not send you links. They say type this in and then search under this. They don't give you a link to go. They expect you to go and search and find what is it. I got this email and it was like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. No links anywhere.
Yeah. If it is a well-known organization and they have resources, they will make sure that they are not sending you emails with links that
Yes.
that you don't expect. Like if you click on reset password on the website and then you get an email saying click on this link from that website, then of course there's some context behind it. But if there is no context and there's an email in your inbox with click on this link, never click on it. You go to that website again, Google, go to that website, and then find out the email, find out the phone number, or do whatever you need to do through
Yes.
login through there. Never click on any emails.
And even legitimate emails as well, like for reset passwords now, they have expiry time.
Yeah.
They expire within sometimes half an hour, maybe 24 hours is very, very rare now.
No, if I've reset password for any social media, they've given me 15 minutes at times.
Yes, that is what they're doing.
So,
Or they will
and
send
I
you a
think that's the
code.
best way. Yeah. Or they'll send
Yeah.
me a code. Yeah.
And
They'll
you
send you
watch
a
for
code.
sorry.
Go on. So no, go on, Ash. Go on.
I was just saying, and always like watch for like urgent, threatening kind of language. Like
that is what they try. And what they get older people for. That's why I remember I was asked one because I do these talks, across the world. And sometimes I'm asked, so who is most susceptible? And so the younger people will always think, oh, we are better. And I said, no, just different people fall for different scams.
Yeah.
So 19 to 29, why do they fall for scams? Is because they are targeted with job scams.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Job scams.
Yeah.
Job scams.
So many.
35 to 45 and 25 over 30 to 45, they are the people who are buying houses. So they get scammed, financial scams on house deposits.
Yeah.
Older people get scammed on romantic scams. Because they're getting older, they're lonely, everybody falls for a different scam. There is scam, like they say, horses for courses. It's scams for
everything, every age group.
Age group, every demographic, I should say, not even just age group.
Yeah. I definitely used to get a lot of job scams where they're like, apply for this job, and some of my friends have fallen for it, where you apply for a job and then you get the offer letter, you leave your current job because you're about to join the company, and turns out that it wasn't like you applied for. The company isn't actually the company you applied for. Like it was some random company, and they made you pay for the background check, but all you did was give them money.
Give them data. Yes, so the students, international students, tend to fall for money laundering scams.
Yeah.
Where you get these ads, it used to be in papers. It's definitely on Facebook and Twitter and everything, all the social media sites. It says work from home and earn thousands of dollars. And yes. So the only person who's doing that is able to do it is the scammer who's working from home and scamming us thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
They're not good. If it's too good to be true, I have had students who have fallen for it and come back, and they only know because it sounds totally legitimate. They only know when police knock on their door and saying, you've been money laundering. They don't even realize. So some of the things,
this job thing. I remember one of a very senior journalist in India. She got an appointment letter from Harvard. Did you know about that one?
No,
Her name is Nidhi Razan. Yeah, she was with NDTV, and this is a few years ago. She got a letter from Harvard saying they've offered her a job. And so she gave in her notice at NDTV, and she went to Harvard, and people said, what? We never sent you anything. But the appointment letter came on a proper letterhead and everything else. But then I'm thinking, if you haven't even had an interview.
Yes. If it's too good to be true, it possibly is. And there are 2 or 3 English sayings. One is that if it's too good to be true, it possibly is. And there's no such thing as a free lunch.
No, nothing.
Nothing. There's never a free lunch. They're getting something. It's like, you have won the lottery. Now send us $2,000 and we will send you the Nigerian prince will come to your house.
Oh, yes. and I know, and with this, there's also catfishing. That is so big. That's another story, of catfishing and how they take vulnerable women for a ride.
Oh, yes.
And all online. So, that's something. So, how we're talking about online safety. I also want to know about the free Wi-Fi networks that we all get when we go to shopping centers, when we go. How safe are they?
I remember the one time I used it was I was coming back from the airport and I used the free Wi-Fi, and the only thing that happened was I had to sign up to some charity. So it was a charity, so it wasn't but it wasn't what I had chosen. So it's like mobile plans are so cheap now. Just use one. I think international eSIMs are cheap.
Yeah.
Use that. Just use your own data.
I agree. Yeah.
Sorry.
And there's Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I am more skeptical about public Wi-Fi than you, Asha. Mostly because when I was studying one of the cybersecurity courses, we had to go to Chadston and packet snip, which is a sophisticated way just to say that we sit there with our laptop listening to what other people are doing.
War driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also called war driving, yes. If you're doing it. Yeah, it used to be huge in the early 2000s. It used to be huge. People would go around the car with a little antenna on it and pick up people's from Wi-Fi's and stuff like that. Yes.
From public Wi-Fi. Yeah, but there's still like a bunch of different attacks that are prevalent on public Wi-Fi's. I'm not saying that you can't be safe on public Wi-Fi, but you just need to be more vigilant. Like if you're on a public Wi-Fi, don't use your banking app. Don't use anything that has sensitive information, because you never know. You never know. You always have to like verify your network. Like Asha said, she knew it was the airport's free Wi-Fi. It didn't just say free airport Wi-Fi, and it could just be anyone's hotspot. They are letting you in, but then all of your data is going through their network, and they can pretty much listen to anything. So you have to be vigilant in terms of you're using the right network. And it is a bit annoying because airports don't put up what exactly is the network name.
Right.
Cafes don't put up.
They do now. Actually do. A lot of things changed after 2020. Before that, there was less. Now, because of the lockdowns and everything, things have changed. They're a little bit more particular because, especially airports lost a lot of money because people are not traveling. So then they are now more careful about who gets in, what you do, all of that. So, yes. So that's why.
I know the lounges are very, very careful. They give you their Wi-Fi password. They don't share it with everyone. So I feel comfortable using that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hotels now do that as well. Hotels will generate, if they are good, they will generate their different passwords per person. But even there, I find that, the mobile data you have is usually good enough that I find that it's often easier for me to hotspot from my phone.
Yeah.
And make sure that only my device is hotspotting and nothing else is hotspotting, and that's only my device. And I know for sure that this is my mobile data.
Yeah. I think if you
I
want to be
have to say, Asha, sorry, I have to say, Asha, with I know if I go to websites, even and also when I'm traveling, Apple will always send a message, a pop-up will come up saying, don't use this website,
Yes.
or don't use this. So I just use my own data.
Yeah. Most now most browsers will tell you. I tend to use Mozilla Firefox all the time.
Yeah, I use
That will
Firefox a
tell
lot.
you.
Yeah.
Yep. Mozilla will tell you. Almost all. Your phone should tell you. Your iPhone should tell you. Everything tells you. Everybody has gotten smarter.
Yeah.
So it's very much. I remember I was just thinking of this yesterday when I got your email with the link to this thing. It's with technology comes dangers. When we invented the wheel, the thief found a faster way to get away. The better we get at it, so AI is now being used to scam us better.
Yeah.
AI is used to, so make sure that if you get scam emails, you get calls, not emails, SMSs and calls on your phone. Make sure you tag them and block them. Tag them as spam, because then your phone learns. Your phone learns, and it'll, and I have sometimes my phone will tell me spam. Why is this tagged as spam? I say, because you have tagged such calls as spam before. So we have to. So that's AI. So that's AI working for the good. You have this cat and mouse game all the time. The cat gets better, the mouse gets better.
Absolutely.
That's
it's actually scary, being online. But I mean, tech can be great. We can do this conversation without, going, sitting anywhere in a coffee shop or in a studio. At the same time, it is very scary. At best of times, I never pick up numbers which say private numbers. I just don't pick up. I wait. I always think if the person needs to talk to me urgently, they will leave a message. And this is something also that I wanted to talk about, but we are running out of time. That how careful we must be with calls that come in all the time. My father-in-law got a call last year. I was in London. My husband was here, and he got a call at 2:30 in the morning, India time, saying your eldest son is in an accident. He's 90 years old. He panicked.
Yes, you would have.
So he called me up.
Counting on. Yeah, that's what they're counting on.
Yeah,
panicking
absolutely.
People.
Yeah. So first thing he did was call my husband. It's 2:00 in the morning. He's fast asleep. He's not going to pick up. Then he called me up, and I was like, no, I don't think so. Then he called my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law then kept calling my husband until he picked up the phone, and then he was like, call up Papa, because this is what it is. But thankfully, he did not call the number back.
Yes.
So, but so, especially when this happens, when you're busy, you're a young mother looking after a child, you have problems in your relationship, you're an older parent, and then you get calls saying, Mom, it's all kinds of things. It's so scary out there.
They're counting on exhaustion. They're counting on fear. They're counting on creating the sense of urgency. They're counting that you're not paying attention.
That is what they're counting on, that you're not paying attention. That has something else which is more important, which is taking up your attention. I still remember, this was in June 2020. I got a call on my landline saying that there was a problem with my computer and they needed access to my computer. My computer happens to be an RMIT issued one, and I know how, what and I just said no. And you should have seen how angry the person got.
Yeah.
He got really mad at me. I just said no and put the phone down. That's all. I did not engage. I didn't tell him, I know you're a scammer, all this. I just said no. And it was like, what do you mean? What do you mean no? I listened to it maybe for another 10 seconds. And I said goodbye. And I don't even think I said goodbye. I just put the phone down and said, don't really care. But that's the thing, that is what they're trying to do, that sense of urgency, the sense that there is an emergency. And then they will scold you. This is why calls have caused more damage too. So if you look at the latest one, I think the 23, early 24, I was looking at ABS data and from ASIC, and it is calls which are becoming much, much more dangerous to us. So don't pick up the call. At least every other day I get a call. I look at it and I know that if it is somebody who is scamming, it will only ring once.
Yep, absolutely. Only ring once. Yep.
No messages left. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're a spam.
Yeah.
And I remember this girl called. This was a few years ago, and the do not register doesn't really work. I mean, I've been on do not call register forever, and they're still getting my numbers. So this girl called and she's selling me electricity, and I said I'm not interested. And she's like, but you must listen to me. And I said, I'm not interested. I'm at work, and I didn't tell her I was at work, but I was really not interested. And then she said to me, you're very rude. And I'm like, what the? You're calling me. Yes, selling me something I'm not interested. For all I know, you're a scammer. Maybe she was. Who knows? I mean, this is also a big industry. But
I remember somebody saying, don't you want to save money? I said, no. they don't know what to do with you. But that's not, because I wanted to end the call. And this is the thing, especially for women. We have been trained from childhood not to be rude. So we are accepting and listening to people who then say we are rude, which is not the case. You are rude. You are inserting yourself into my time. Then my time is not important. You're calling me.
Yeah.
So I still say, sorry, not interested. And then I think, why am I saying sorry? What am I saying sorry for? But that is the training. That is our social conditioning. To say sorry and thank you. For what?
Yes.
For wasting my time. Yes.
I have two more questions.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Most important one, which both of you know, I have gone to you for help. What should you do if your personal information is leaked or stolen? So because most people don't know what to do.
Yeah. The first thing is to go to the if you're in Australia, the e-safety commissioner and ID Care, both of them. So if you go to the e-safety commissioner, so you don't have to go to the e-safety commissioner. You can go to the ACCC website, also has information. The Australian Cybersecurity Centre also has information. But the e-safety commissioner, there are a range of agencies which are dealing with different parts. You go to any one of them, you can. And this is the same case in India. There is a website. If Ash is going to, I will check and I can tell you what the website is, because I did talk to India. Give me a couple of seconds and I can give you. So Ash can share her views while I'm looking.
Yeah. I've had my information leaked and stolen, and my usual go-to is assess what is compromised immediately. So figure out what username, password went out, which accounts are compromised, what can be the multiplier effect of that compromise. So is it possible that they can get into some other thing using the thing? If it is banks, immediately call up the bank, because the chances are, Combank, at least I know, they can reverse the transaction, especially if you inform them early. They'll wait until it goes from pending to complete, but they will be able to reverse it, block your card.
Yes, the unfortunate thing, but though it has changed, because this is one of the problems that happened, and I remember talking about it, was that if it comes out of your bank account, then they would not reverse it. Now, this is not the case in the UK. In the case of the UK, banks are required to compensate. So that is now coming in with the changes. I think was around the end of last year, the government changed cybersecurity laws, and this was a three-pronged attack now against the scammers with the banks, the telcos, and the large, the social media. Though I don't know what's happening with the social media side at this point with what's happening in the US. We don't know anything, but at least with the banks and the telecoms, and we have seen with what Brazil did, the social media companies have to come to the party. So all three. So let me see. I think I had over here.
As you were saying, while Asha is looking, we are looking for India.
Yeah. I was saying that if you realize that your account has been hacked, most likely it's been hacked for a while and you're just realizing it, because it usually is quiet when it happens. You don't know straight away. Try to change username passwords as fast as possible to anything that you think is affected. Obviously, contact ID Care, contact report. I think in Australia there's Scam Watch Australia that you can look at to figure out what types of frauds are going on. But one important thing that I have personally experienced is increased phishing attacks. If anything has been hacked, that account is more likely to receive more phishing attacks. And because you're already in the mindset of panic, you tend to look at those emails like, okay, this is something I need to do, or this is something I need to do. But I think it's good to take a step back, assess, and go to the right people. The most important thing is financial information. So at this point, it's good to secure your bank account first, and then think about the sensitive personal information that is being exposed, and then go through that checklist. Asha, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it because I've given talks in so many places. I'm finding it hard to find which one did when. Yes.
The other thing I would say is to monitor your credit report. I don't know how you would do that in India, but in Australia, you can easily find services to monitor credit report, because it's possible. One of my friend's mom, her passwords were leaked, but the hacker didn't do anything to take out the money from the bank account or anything. What they did was apply for a personal loan. And that was so subtle. Yeah, they applied for a personal loan on her name, and it was so subtle that she didn't find out until the very last stage of finalizing the loan, when she got a random email in some other email account, or some verification was needed, and then she was like, what is this going on? And then she found out that there's a personal loan in her account. So start checking credit. Sorry, you were saying something, Asha.
No. Go on, Ash. Sorry.
No, I was just reinforcing what I said. So start checking your credit report and secure the financial stuff as soon as you think that something has been leaked. Because most likely you will not know it straight away, but there is something that is happening slowly in the background.
Yes. That is the biggest problem. So ID theft is for that reason. So be careful of what messages you get. If you get a strange message, read it. If it comes from a bank, for example. So now with India, if you have a bank account in India, the bank does send regular emails saying that if you have been in a breach, do this. This is the website. There is a website. This is where you report things constantly. I know I get emails, I get messages from Indian banks. I get it from my Indian telco. Everything. So that is the thing. It's just to be aware. So most of us, when we get these, we just hit delete. Maybe read it. If it's coming from your bank, read it.
Yeah.
Read it. Check what is happening. Make sure. And one of the things I heard of last year was that somebody's phone number got ported as he was watching. because there are some telcos which don't do the double checks that you need to do. So one of the reasons why I don't like SMS, if you have an authenticator app, it is on that physical phone. It cannot get. And now with the authenticator app, you can set multi-factor authentication on the authenticator app, so that the authenticator app doesn't just show you, it says, authenticate yourself before I show you what the codes are. Yes, it's an extra step. But as we say in cybersecurity, you have to be aware that, every day, security is sacrificed on the altar of convenience. And we need to do things which are not as convenient. It's like going for a walk. It's not always convenient to go for a walk and to think of your fitness or your health. You have to take that extra step.
Have to do it. Yeah.
Have to do it.
I would say, personally, using password manager and using Auth on my phone, like Authenticator app on my phone, isn't like very inconvenient, because OnePass is so good. You open the website, it automatically fills in your detail and clicks on login. And it's like smoother than me trying to remember my password and email and type it in. So there is like little bit of scare there that OnePass will do something get hacked. Yeah, trade-offs, yes.
There are all trade-offs.
Maybe, you don't know, but hopefully they have encrypted their database. A lot of like companies replace their password manager from whatever they were to OnePass, because we did an audit and figured out that is the best one out there in terms of like encryption. So you just have to keep I personally just have to keep an eye on whether they are getting hacked, and then change all those passwords before they decrypt that vault.
So the other thing is, one of the things that came out when Optus was breached in 2022.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, that was a nightmare.
Yes, was that they were holding our details again in the clear, not encrypted or hashed. So that was the biggest problem. So, and they didn't get fined much at all, but now it has changed. The fines have become like 10 times as much. Yes, and I realized I actually spoke about it on live television, saying we need to bring the penalties for data breaches to the level of the penalties. The penalties for money laundering are huge, are absolutely phenomenal. And we need to bring, and it has now come closer. It has come much closer, which means that they are going to think about how do we keep our customers safer. Not saying, oh, this is data, we are only interested in collecting data. They're retaining, like, for example, I had not had an Optus account for, I think, 10 or 12 years, or maybe more. And they sent me a letter saying, the second tranche or whatever, saying that your details had been breached. It's like, what?
Yep.
You still had my details after 12 or 13 years?
Yeah. That happened with Telstra. Telstra sent us that. And it's actually scary that, what all details we have.
Yes, and it is against the data retention laws.
So but the data retention laws are more of a suggestion at this point. I don't think
that is the problem. That is the problem. So, you retain, one is they retain, keep all the data. Don't we do it in our own this thing? I have got my lecture notes from 2002. What am I going to do with them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing that this reminds me is, sorry, Saleha, I'm stopping.
No.
We need to think about hygiene in terms of where we put data, right? So even though like now I think we're all aware and we're reducing where we do online shopping and we're reducing where we put our data. But in the past, like when I was 16, I had like blogging accounts with some blog, and that got hacked, and it's the same email I've been using. So I think it's important to go back and clean that data. Remove, because now government enforces that if as a customer I tell a service that they need to remove my data, they have to legally remove it. So I think we should all like try to remove or clean up past data. There are services that do this as well. They'll take some money, but they will look through where your data is, and they also target data brokers. So like if your data is being sold from one broker to another broker, or like targeting advertisement and stuff like that, they will go and clean up your data from there. But you can do that as well as people.
Yes, you can.
Last question. Yep. No, sorry, Asha. No, sorry. No.
Just like before I, logged out of Twitter, I went and I cleaned 2 years worth of data. It was huge. I was quite active. Not as active as I was before, but yeah, it was about around 2 to 4,000 tweets. I spent half an hour, 40 minutes.
Do you use Blue Sky or on any other service that replaces?
I use Blue Sky. Use Blue Sky, but I'm much less active now. I think the whole experience of Twitter is,
Yeah. So this is what I was going to say. I'm not active. I wasn't active on Twitter. So in November, after the election results, I deactivated my Twitter account.
Yes.
And surprise, next morning I'm at work and I get a text message and it says Elon Musk, and I'm like, what? So obviously I put it block and all that, but people are watching. I cannot imagine Elon Musk writing to me to ask. I don't know what the content of the not text message, but a WhatsApp message. So we've got to be careful because people can get excited about, stuff like that. Oh my God. Like, I think there was one a WhatsApp message which said DT, but it was Donald Trump written in a weird way. And again, you need to be careful that these are not legit accounts. These are actually fake people sending all these things. Absolutely. I just put everything in block now. I just block every single email I don't know, or a text message I don't know. I block everybody.
Yes.
So sometimes,
I remember, as one of the things of being a superstar of STEM is that you get training into media and social media. And I remember a very senior person, basically she said, block early and often.
Yeah, I do that every day. I'm just blocking people, blocking emails,
blocking calls, and then I'm sitting there and look at my spam inbox on my phone is like 30, and then I have to individually delete all of them. You can't bulk delete. But every so often that's what I do. Sit there and say delete all of them. I don't want to know who these are. I'm sure it's the AI has calculated that this is all there. That's what I'm counting on AI for, not just my students giving me.
That's another story, another day.
Plagiarized. Yeah, not just my students giving me plagiarized. It's
just as we were going to sign off, comes Chris. Hi, Chris. Okay, this is for either one of you. She says, in your opinion, are our in-house devices, Google Mini, Alexa, etc., listening to our daily conversations and recording them somehow? This has been in the news and talked about so often.
I am pretty sure if you own an electric car, Tesla is recording your voice. It's recording everything.
Your smart TV.
Same reason.
Yeah. Smart TV, the only thing is, yes, you need to go and stop them doing it. You can actually, so do that with every social media account. Have we checked what the settings are? And, there's plenty of information. If you just Google, how do I, people will give you advice. How do you stop Alexa doing it? How do you stop your Google Home doing it? How do you stop your smartphone doing it? For me, the nightmare is my fridge deciding to message me that there is no milk. Well, I should know that, shouldn't I? When I open and I try to make coffee, I don't need my fridge to tell me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think social media is doing enough to protect us?
It's doing nothing.
It's doing nothing. I think our government is also not doing anything. Even though we just had a bill passed of banning social media for
under 16-year-olds. That's not going to do anything. The only thing it's going to do is going to expose every single one of us with our ID. So the only thing that's going to happen is the minute that is enforced. I'm not even. That's why I'm not even putting stuff on Blue Sky. So I put,
even I'm not putting.
Yeah, this is what I'm sewing. Right. That's it. Before that, that's why I did not go and delete everything. I only deleted everything I'd put since Elon Musk took over. Because before that, all I was talking was about maths and cybersecurity. So I said, well, I don't care that it is still there. I just don't want my account to be taken over. So it's there. I mean, it's there for posterity. It is information that I was sharing as an expert in both those areas. So yeah. But
you have to
not.
understand that social media, we don't pay for it.
Yes.
We are
they
the
have to make the money. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to make the money.
We are the product. Yes.
Yeah.
We are the content creators.
Yeah.
And suddenly there has been an influx of all these advertisements, absolutely unwanted. Every day I am like, don't want to see, not interested, irrelevant. It's just like it's just useless. Sorry, Chris, I know you have a question there. We're going to talk about it another day, because it is already an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm sure it's after 9 o'clock, and both Asha and Ash have work tomorrow, as do I, as do you. So yes, AI another day with the two beautiful ladies whenever they are available, and maybe some more. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure, and I will, when I share it on Spotify, I'll send you the link, and I'll also put links to the websites that you mentioned. I'll Google them and I'll put the links. Okay, and I'll send it to both of you. Thank you so much. Good
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, lovely meeting you, Ash. Bye.
Here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.